Uh, so this is Mad Cow here. I'm doing some quick reviews of some of your Scrim maps after talking to Bog. Uh, I'm not your full-time coach or anything, so you guys can take what you need out of this, and feel free to ignore me if you don't like what you're hearing. But just as an exercise, trying to help you guys out and see if I could point out some stuff that maybe you could consider and work on. Biggest thing I've seen across about 3 maps I looked at is we seem to have some issues managing sightlines. What I mean by that is during the fight, uh, you pretty much, first of all, you have to decide where you're going to fight, right? This is the fundamental area idea of the kill box. If you're on attack, the defenders pretty much decide this for you. You're going to fight wherever they're set up to stop you. If you're on defense, you have to talk about this a bit more, right? There's not going to be a whole lot of options based on where the card is. Like you're not going to fight your spawn door if the card's almost about to finish. Um, but it's a conversation you have to have and decide. Okay, and once you figure that out, you have to figure out as a team. Number one, how do you get multiple sightlines on this kill box? Right, kill box fundamentals 101. And if you're on attack, right, and the enemy's already set up, how are you going to reduce the number of sightlines the enemy has? And we seem to have some issues with this because we don't usually account for all the sightlines. Like if the enemy has multiple sightlines, we're not clearing those sightlines out, and we're not always getting multiple of our own. We tend to want to stack on our tanks and all fire in one direction. That's not super consistent usually, right? If you're gonna try to force into an enemy bracket, so bracket being, they have a couple guys here, they have a couple guys here. Wait, hold on. Okay, here we go. Now you can see it. Right, so they're bracketing this choke here, right? If you walk in through mid in this general area at all, you're gonna take fire from 2 directions, right? And it's not really consistent to try to force your way into this, and to try to hope that your team is counting for all these sightlines because there's a lot of variables, right? You have to assume that everybody knows their responsibility, that Bog knows to go on this Ash, uh, that Princess here knows to come up here and fire on this Ash from the opposite angle while your tank's pushing this side, right? It's a lot of variables and there's a lot of room for error because if you don't account for the pressure evenly, you're going to take a lot of off angle damage, uh, right? Or if you say in a different example, let's say they had a brig standing here, and you send Bog at her, right? You're not really matching pressure on the right side. You're not really matching man for man on this, and Bog's not going to be able to clear this angle, and they're going to get a lot of damage into your flank. So before we do every fight, right, we want to identify where the enemy sightlines are. We want to identify where we can get our own sightlines and make sure we account for all the enemy sightlines while setting up our own. And the way I like to do this, we just talked about trying to match hat for hat, basically. If you do any football, right, it's like you got a line of people here, and you got some people here, right, and it's like how do you match defenders onto blockers, or sorry, blockers onto blitzers. Trying to go hat for hat on this is it's usually going to favor the defenders because they're already set up. They already have cover. They're usually going to have some high ground. All right, so trying to walk into this and say, okay, I'm going to match a few guys on the left, a few guys on the right. There's a lot of room for error. And whenever there's room for error, it's going to favor the defenders. So you want to take more favorable fights or your favor to win, or that you have better odds at. So I like to do this with overloading. So I'm going to draw this up a little bit, right? Let's just say that the enemy has some, oh crap. Let's say the enemy has a bracket going, okay? They have a left-right bracket around, say, like the payloads here. Okay, we're not gonna want to really walk into this from the front. Right? Like so the blue is us. We're not like if we go into the front in this general area, it's gonna be a problem, right? We're not really gonna be expected to win these. So what I tend to tell my guys is you gotta pick one side of this bracket. Okay, you gotta pick one side and you want to overload it. So you're not gonna try to match man for man on these, because if you get this wrong, if one side does not have enough pressure, that bracket's not gonna get cleared, right? And you walking into a defender's bracket it's not gonna favor you. So usually I just say, okay, pick one side and send most of your guys at that side. So you're gonna say you're gonna pick the right side, and which side it is, it's gonna really depend on the map, right? It's gonna be whatever side's safer to walk in. It's gonna be whatever side has more cover. So say you go right side, you take your tanks, you walk this way, right? And what's gonna happen is you're gonna take this formation, instead of looking at it like what you're seeing right now, you're gonna take their bracket and you're gonna turn it into this, right? You're gonna linearize it. So now you're gonna be looking at it like this. You're gonna have your tanks. Your tanks are gonna end up somewhere around here, and you can then double back your tracer around this area. So now you're taking, and you can keep going, right? You can keep going. You can send people even deeper this way, and now you have your own concave and you're taking their bracket and you're linearizing it and you're compressing it back into a single point. Okay, that's usually what I try to tell my guys to do, because it's going to be very consistent if you can identify how to move on the map on most maps, right? Trying to just go man for man is kind of 50-50, especially if you're on attack. You're attacking into a concave. You have to rely on everybody knowing their assignments and then executing properly, and then also making sure that you're actually matching pressure. And it's sometimes hard to do that because then you have to say, okay, there's a diva there, there's a diva there, there's a brig there, there's a cast there. Who do you send where, right? That's messy. It takes a lot of time. So you TLDR, you just somebody says, row says, hey, overload right. Okay, they're bracketing left, right, overload right. Walk your tanks this way. Set up your own bracket, left, right on them, or in relative here, top, bottom, and your tracer is gonna hang out somewhere here and maybe go on their back line. Right? We're just trying to herd sheep here. We're gonna try to take their bracket, right? Instead of a concave, we're trying to take that bracket and compress it. Right? We're trying to turn this, which we don't want to look at. We don't want to look at this, right? We don't want to look at that at all. Take that and crap. Turn it into this. Okay. This is better to look at, right? Because the people in the front here, they don't have enough pressure to match four to five people coming at them, and the people in the back, they're in a straight line, so they don't have a second angle, and they're going to be a lot less effective because they're so much further away. Okay, and it's pretty simple to call. We just say overload right, overload left. So in this case, how would we do this? Just a suggestion again, but we can take most of these guys, right? We can take row, we can take this would be Blucher, usually I'm assuming. And we're gonna take these people and walk them this way. Okay, walk them this way, push this ash out. Once this ash is pushed out, you can actually jump your monkey in here because there's a lot of cover, right? Monkey likes to have cover to play in. If you don't want to cross a lot of distance, take a lot of poke. And your tracer will just come out this way and harass your backline. And then you're going to take your backline, right? These people, these supports, you put them up here on the high ground. Right, and what's going to happen is this ash is going to be like, well, I don't want to stand in the face of a monkey running at me. This ash is gonna bug off. Right, this ash is going to probably either coach the high ground or just go back to her team. And then you're going to have a very nice formation going on. Right, you're going to have, hold on, going to have supports here. Monkey's going to end up somewhere here. Right, Diva's going to be somewhere in this general area, just doing Diva things. Right, ready to peel either side. You're probably also going to have Princess here on the ash. Your tracer is going to just exist on this side of the map, right? Your tracer wants to then enforce this concave and be somewhere in this general area, just pissing them off. Right, there's enough cover over here to just kind of shoot and not hard commit. And then you're going to end up with this nice concave looking thing like this. And they're all going to be pretty much grouped up in one spot right here. And this is usually going to win you the fight in the long run, right? You're going to have a ball probably running somewhere around, but theoretically you would have cleared them out by now. And when you have this giant setup, right, the ball's not really going to threaten anybody because you have the Brig and the Diva both enforcing your high ground. And all you got to do here, right, well, if you practice this enough, you just say overload right. And now, why do we say overload right here? Well, going left is kind of rough, right? Like this has a very nice pathing where you can pop into this door here, walk out here, and then come on the high ground. And you get both high ground and close distance, right, with some cover and with access to more cover over here. It's a little safer. If you try to pick overload left, well, you just kind of have to walk at them this way, right? And you're going to take a lot of damage from the off angle. So it's which side you pick is really going to depend on the map. It's what's going to be cheaper for you to close distance on. How can you actually get there faster with taking less resources? I'm going to switch maps real quick.
Welcome.
So on the theme of multiple sightlines, right? We had some problems in here on this map. So let's go through the process as we just talked about on that map. Right? How do we identify where we're gonna fight? How are we gonna get multiple sightlines? How do we deny their sightlines? In this case, right? Where are we gonna fight? Well, they're set up to fight the choke, so we're gonna end up fighting like pretty much right here, right? We don't have a choice because they have a defender setup. Multiple sightlines. Okay, which sightlines do they have? They basically only have one. This is it. So this is easy here. Okay, and because they only have one right now, this makes our job a lot easier. All we have to do is get multiple sightlines on this high ground. So fast forward just a second. So this is already getting a little messy, okay? Because we don't want to drop a bubble here. So if we were to look at this, if I had one of you here, I would ask you, how are we going to try to set this up to have multiple sightlines? Blog's got the right idea. Right, Blog's going to go around and pop up over here. So that's one extra sightline. But how do we get more sightlines than this? Because we're running dive, and the advantage of dive against this comp, right, is we can actually be in more places. We can get more than just 2 sightlines. So what I would probably want, if I were row here, I'm a monkey player, right? My first jump would probably go here without blowing bubble, because I mean, row, you get this, right? Jumping frontally into this comp, you're gonna get screwed. You're gonna get your bubble force early, like right now. You're gonna get rocked. You're gonna get discorded. You cannot make this jump, right? Without blowing all of your cooldowns. So I would take a first quick safe jump from somewhere like over here. Just jump straight across here, right? You're getting set up. And you're going to walk a tracer around them. So you're going to have a monkey here. You're going to have a tracer here. Sorry, this probably is harder to see. You have a monkey here. You have a tracer here. I would probably take your soldier, poke him over here. Right? And then just 3, 2, 1. Monkey jumps up from palm tree. Tracer pokes out from stairs. Soldier pokes out from here. Diva, if you want to try to fly in, this is pretty risky. This might be too long to actually get a boop off. I'm not entirely sure, but you can try to go do this, do a boop off, and then land right down here where your supports can heal you. And that's how you really have to just take this. You just try to harass him from 1, 2, 3, 4 different angles. Hope you get a boop, right? Hope you get enough damage and pressure to where they want to drop, and that's gonna at least buy you that first choke. But just running into them like this, right? Because we have a tendency, like I said, I've been watching some of your maps, and we just want to kind of brute force our way to the front with maybe one off angle. That's not really going to cut it in a lot of cases, right? We want to maximize our angles and minimize theirs. They already only have one sideline, so that takes care of half the problem for us. We could be doing a little bit more work to maximize these angles, right? It's fine to leave your supports here. You probably want to bias towards maybe one side of the map, so you probably want to play cover right here, right? Because this is kind of sketchy. You can get pulled really easy. Just play here. Diva goes up. Monkey comes in. Right. First jump goes here where they can't see you. Second jump comes up. Boom. Bubble. Right. Tracer comes in from here. Soldier's looking over here. Right. And we like this a lot because they can't really focus all their attention on any one side. They're going to end up taking pressure from another side. If they turn to look at you, it gets really obvious when they're looking at you, right? And you just back off so you don't get pulled. Right, it gets really obvious if they're looking at you, so you just back off so you don't get destroyed. Right, and the monkey, same thing. If you take too much pressure, you just drop off over here. You don't want to drop off towards your team. You want to make them look for you in a different direction. If you don't get what you're looking for, right, then what's nice is you're not overly committed. Right, you just drop off, you get healed. Next jump. If you don't have bubble up, right, I don't really want to wait a whole another 8 seconds for your bubble. You just jump again, but it's going to be a bait jump. You're going to jump like pretty much straight across, and you're just going to land right over here without even landing on top. Because you don't want to risk getting pull rocked at all, right? You want to like jump and maybe just do this. Just like jump up, zap, 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 land immediately, and then just cover again for your next bubble. And you just do this until you poke them off the high ground. But this really ain't it. All right, we're going in face first, and we're trying to rotate. Right? Like this is what you're gonna do if you're gonna run goats. If you're gonna run some kind of rush comp with Ryan, you're gonna try to get through this the stairs. And even with that comp, right, I would still want you to leave some guy in server so that when you poke out this way, you have a hard off angle on this side, or you just have a tracer go in the back. But this is not really what you want to do. You don't have enough shields to get through this without getting blown up. You don't have enough sustain. So yeah, not really how you want to play that. Let's go a little further to the next fight. Alright, same thing, brute force from the front. Not super amazing, but that's not really what I wanted to look at. Hinge is going to get a massive boop here. There's definitely a world in which he just instantly gets blown up for doing this. Right, and like again, for this thing, right? You could do the same thing. You could set your monkey up here. You can TP your Reaper into here. Right, Reaper just waits here. You get your Somber back here to chill. right? 3, 2, 1, 3 different angles. You jump up, and then your Lucio goes in while you're jumping. Because your Lucio going in here 1v5, there's definitely a world in which she just gets rocked and dies. All right, so counting on this solo play here is pretty dangerous, and we could have just maximized our chances for success a lot better. But hey, we get away with it. This is fine. So now we're gonna have to reset a little bit, right? Because we blew a bunch of cooldowns for this, and look at what they're doing. Okay, look what this Ashe is doing. So they're not going to hard stack here. Now their Widow's doing something weird, which is she's stacked with her team. She could probably be a little bit. I mean, you don't have any range DPS. She could really be here, but your Sombra's there, so you know it's kind of whatever. But now you have to think again, right? Because before they had pretty much 6 guys here. They have no sightlines, and this is mid fight, and this is where it gets a little hard. Okay, you have a mid. The field has changed. You got 5 guys here, and you don't know this guy's here yet. Okay, but you're about to. And you have to account for this bracket somehow. You have a left-right bracket going from cafe and server, and we have to be able to get multiple sightlines around where we're going to fight, which is cafe really, and we also have to account for this guy. And there's a couple different ways to account for this guy, right? You can just TP a Reaper at him. It's like not the worst thing in the world. Princess is a little too deep to deal with her. To deal with the Ashe. You could just rush the Diva at 1-for-1. You could rush the Lucio there 1-for-1, but you'd probably rather have the Lucio be contesting high ground here. There's a whole bunch of ways to do this, but somebody just has to say, hey, I got the off angle, right? Just like it's like calling for a fly ball when you're playing baseball or whatever as a kid, right? Just like one of you guys say, hey, I got it, right? And we're going for it. But we have to account for this because we're gonna ignore this guy. This guy's gonna just pump damage into her sides, pretty much uncontested. Okay, Bog does go for her, so this is good. How long did that take, though? There's Ashe swings around. We don't know if she's there yet.
Cease your resistance.
Take a shot. Yep. Okay, so Bog realizes this and goes for her. That's good. Yeah, but how are we setting up for this high ground?
Cease your resistance.
So, like, yeah, we're just gonna go face first in these guys, right? We're gonna go face first, and we really need to, again, just get people here, like Bog was doing. Get people here, right? Get your Sombra, probably in here, right? Just get her around, and all we gotta do is just touch point. All we gotta do is touch point and just surround them completely, make them really uncomfortable, and just chill. But we don't win these face first fights here. Right? We're gonna try to go into this while they're bongoing. We just really need to chill. Like we just stand here. We just kind of stand here until their bongo expires. We just surround them. We just jump, zap, drop, jump, zap, drop, and just kind of surround these guys. Make sure this guy goes away. Right. Eventually we'll win because they're gonna be completely boxed in on a tiny little island, while we have point control. All right. Let's go to defense. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend
So
objective A.
this is not super amazing. Alright, so let's go through the process here, okay? We're on defense. Where are we gonna fight? Well, you guys being here says that you want to fight over this choke. So if you're gonna fight over this choke, and this is your box, you ideally want more than one sideline in this box. Right? In which case, I would probably, if you're going to play Diva and Torb, you put your Diva and Torb over here. Because the Diva makes the Torb a little harder to push, the Torb gets a bit more value, either shooting this flank or shooting this flank. And it makes your high ground that much stronger. Right? You're not really going to be able to stay here with just a horse shield and no other pressure, because this shield has to exist. Essentially, the question for this shield is, if I drop this shield right now, what else is happening while this shield is here? Okay? And right now, the answer is really nothing, because they're just walking in with a shield. Like, I would actually just sit here and basically do nothing until maybe this point, because like now, like your shield's kind of broken already, right? Okay, yeah, and then you're 3 seconds from another one. So let's see, when did you drop the shield? Shield goes down. You probably drop the shield a little late, because you could start with a shield somewhere here, right? Probably start with the shield somewhere here, and then if that breaks early, just chill, because you don't want to drop your next shield until you're about to do something with it. And right now they're not committing, nothing's happening, so you don't want to waste shield. And ideally you want to shield about now, like you want to have another one in reserve, because they're starting to push. You drop a shield here while your flanks, right, try to piss them off here, or while your flanks just try to kind of chill here and shoot through this. But we don't really have multiple sightlines here, and our Torb is a little too far back to do anything about this. You could probably put a turret here too. People do this all the time, where it just makes walking through kind of more annoying. But because we don't have multiple sightlines here, they're just gonna pressure us off because they have more frontal pressure, right? They have Babson with double shield, and we're running a Brig with a single shield, so it's never gonna work this way. So okay, we get pressured off. Fine. Where's our next sightline? Right? We remember seeing the enemy Ashe going into this room earlier, and it's gonna force these people to deal with this off angle before they can go to point. Right? Because now our box has shifted. Now it's like we're gonna fight over this corner now. We're gonna fight over this area. How do we get multiple sightlines on it? Okay, we got a Torb here, not too bad. We're probably gonna rotate our horse up here somewhere and our backline there. Who's gonna control this? Okay, I would want our Diva and our Ashe to be somewhere in this off angle. Because a lot of people will then play dumpster, right? And the thing about this is that like this is not too bad. It's still two sightlines, but it's not like as strong of a sightline, because this, if they're here, they have more or less everything in front of them with a shield, right? You want to make it so that they can't block everything with a single shield or with a single DM. And it's just going to be really, really strong, just like you saw their Ashe to be here, and then you want someone else with her, so probably your Diva here, Horse is going to be here, Bog is mostly fine here, and then you have your backline here. If you want to swing Bog out here to the dumpster, honestly, this also isn't bad. Right, because you have a turret here, you have a Torb here, and then you have a super wide concave on this 180 degree around the point, and they're gonna have to be really disciplined on how to break this. Right, they're gonna have to run at these people. They have to run at these people, make the Ashe leave, right, and then either go all the way around the cafe and systematically clear your off angles, or they can go all the way around this way, clear your Torb off, right, try to get around cafe this way, and then that's gonna again linearize your formation, right? You have this big concave going this way, and if they walk over here, right, and they're looking at this, well, most of your concave is in front of them, right? They're taking this concave and made it more linear, and they're gonna keep walking into the cafe. They have to be more disciplined, right? It just makes it that much harder for them to break. But if we're gonna all back up and just camp cafe in a clump like this, and we don't have a single second sightline, it's gonna be too easy for these guys. So they're gonna get to here right now, and just imagine if you had somebody looking at this. Right, we're just gonna chill a guy here. You know, maybe have your Diva and your Ashe chill here, and it's gonna make this BAP this is gonna make these people way more uncomfortable, right? They can't just literally all look in one direction and put double shield facing you, because you're not gonna win this with BAPs and double shield, right? You have to spread this out and dilute their pressure. You know, nobody's looking in any other direction, and this is just super brute forcey, as opposed to just getting free shots here with an Ashe, maybe, right? Like this is super free. Yep. Yeah, Horse backline here is fine. Torb here is mostly okay, although like again, having your Torb even here, or just giving them something else to look at rather than only shooting your Horse's shield, the more you can get angles, even if it's a small angle like this or a small angle like this, right? It just makes their life that much harder. And especially, this is the big one. This is the big one. This is something that like you're gonna force them to look away from where they want to fight, because they want to be here. They want to look in this direction, right? They want to get to point. If you pull their attention away from point, it's gonna be a lot more value. And you can just see what you would be seeing if you were in this angle, or if you had a couple people over here. Your Diva's just gonna be here to keep them alive. You don't want your Ashe to get pulled and instantly rocked. Your Diva's just here to kind of just keep your Ashe alive, and you know, conveniently, this is not too hard to heal if you have your BAP right over here by your Horse. But yeah, this is just all the pressure that you're missing, because they're not looking anywhere else except they got 6 people looking at cafe, right? I go to the overhead, they're literally all looking at your Horse. Ro is super sad right now because he can't play the game. And he can't play the game because there's nobody doing this. There's nobody shooting the Sigma in the back. There's nobody shooting these people in the back. Right? Your Diva would be way more valuable here, just backsighting these guys, looking for an opportunity to maybe go on this Widow once they drop, right? But at least being here, you're keeping your Ashe on this angle. And if your Ashe was here, they wouldn't be doing this, right? They'd be like, we gotta deal with the Ashe. And then you just pull back, chill, maybe get a mini, right, and then come back once they start to force a point again. Then you would just come back, right? Just pull out, absorb a little pressure, come back. We also don't have any, again, nobody on this side, nobody on this side except for turret. But this formation is just not good, right? We don't have any off angles except for our diva. Our diva is not super, like if your diva wants to do this, he needs to play Sig. Right, Sig is just better at holding off angles by himself. And if you were Sig, I would still prefer the Sig to be here, because this is just super, super strong for the Sig to be in. This off angle is not nearly as good. And the reason why, I already kind of hinted at it, but they want to turn aggression this way. They want to fight on point. So any resources and aggression you can divert off the point, right, is going to be massive for your team, for your defense, because you want to pull resources away from where they want to go. Like, right, if your car's trying to turn the corner here, right, if you can pull any attention away from where the car's going, it's going to make that car progression that much harder. It's an objective-based game, right? One more fight and then we can wrap it up, because I think you get the general idea now, but I'm just trying to show you all the patterns that I'm seeing. Right, we like to clump, and you guys are all good players, right? You guys are all 4,300 plus. I mean, I played against you guys. I know you guys are good players. And I was on a team that, right, I was on UW team. We were top 8 a couple years ago, whatever. 4,300 plus team. And we did all this stuff too, right? It's like when we have good players, it's really easy to just be like, yeah, we got better mechanics. We trust ourselves to brute force our way through. And that's going to be true in a lot of the cases. But you could be doing so much more if you just played these sightlines a little bit more cleanly, right? So I know how it goes, and it's like even the best teams have these issues, right? I had this issue all the time where we would just like, you know what, screw it, just go feet first into hell, and we'll see what happens. It usually works out. And I started thinking about this a lot more analytically when I started coaching. So you see how we're already kind of we're already looking like we want to do this thing where we all go on an elevator and we just have a mosh pit here, right? And your Ash here needs to look at this and be like, maybe I don't want to go and join these guys, right? Because what are you really getting by standing on your horse? You're not really amplifying your pressure at all. You're gonna want to come out here and pop into jail, right? And you're just gonna chill here, because I'm gonna show you again what you're missing. Okay, you're on defense, but you're kind of on attack at this point because you got blown off the cart. So where are you gonna take the fight? Well, you have some options because the cart's gonna roll. So basically, like, do you want to take the fight where they are now? Do you want to wait for the cart to get to corner? Do you want to wait for the cart to get over here? That's probably a little too long. But you're gonna basically, you have to talk about this, right? You have to decide where you want to take the fight, and that's gonna determine your sightlines. And I don't know if we're doing this right now, because our diva's going in, our team's not ready, and we're committing. So it's like, okay, we're gonna take the fight when the cart's here. So we're gonna box this area. How do we get another sightline on this area? It's kind of rough, right? You'd have to have your Ash somewhere over here, like some super hard flank, and that's a low ground angle. It's not great. This high ground, again, a little bit rough to get multiple sightlines on. So yeah, committing here is like, it's okay to come up here and just kind of trade with him a little bit. I don't know if I want to commit here just yet. Okay, I'd probably wait for the cart to get to this corner. You pop your Ash here. You have your diva just kind of guarding this area here, right? So that she can always peel for Ash if she needs to. And then we're gonna collapse in this, right? We're gonna have an angle. We're gonna have an angle here. We're gonna have an angle here with our horse. We can even drop our. Who do we have? Probably drop our Torb if we wanted to, right? Just drop our Torb on low ground this way, right? And just have a flank. It's not too bad because you always have access to high ground from the elevator. And we make this nice big concave on this corner, and it makes it really, really painful for them. Kind of rush us a little bit because, again, we don't talk about our sightlines. We don't get multiple sightlines, and it's so hard to close out a fight without these sightlines, right? Because these guys can just duck this. It's like whatever. And then crossing this bridge is kind of ugly. Also, it's super easy to get pulled off of. It's what's gonna happen. Okay, we get a pick. Nice. Well, if you had a guy here, right? Just imagine April is here. Right, this is free shots. Even though we rushed it, free shots here. Free shots on the Sig. Diva's definitely rushing it, but again, I want you guys to farm rear ends a lot more, right? You want to see this a lot more, right? Backsides, side views, This should make you lick your lips, right? You don't want to look at people in the eye, right? If you see this creepy ass grin here, something's going wrong because you want to farm these backsides as much as you can. This is super free. And just we don't have any sightlines. So this guy's kind of feeding, but I think he's a ringer, so whatever. All right. The point is we need this. We need to figure out where we're gonna fight, and where we're gonna fight is gonna be really governed by the map and where we can get the most number of sightlines. And we're not really bothering to get extra sightlines, right? And it only takes 1 or 2 guys to fix this, because even though we're rushing this a little bit, if we had someone here this whole time, these people are all dead, right? We had our Ash here, these people are all dead. We have like Torb's kind of okay here, but if you just drop a Torb, like high ground's good. It's not good if you're all on the same high ground, right? They're all just gonna look at it. If you drop your Torb here and you just kind of shoot these guys, like right now, this instance, it's not super great because you're looking at a bunch of shields. But like if you go back a couple seconds, maybe, see what we're seeing, right? And you drop your Torb right now, right? You shoot your Torb, right? You shoot this guy in the back. Shoot this guy in the back. Boom, 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 boom. All right, get a little creative with this. But we're really missing this part. Okay, it's gonna be a bit of a mess. And then let's go on the retake. We'll end up losing this. Okay. We're still respawning. This is fine. Just trying to stay alive, get high ground. Okay, so we have a pretty decent pincer. Right, we got some guys alive on the high ground here. This is fine. We got Boggs over here taking the slight angle, which is good. We're gonna have our tank push out here. So now it's what does this person do, right? Because this person's here last. So Princess is here last, right? And Princess should be able to look at the situation from a long way away and be like, hey, how do I maximize my number of angles? Because you can see where your team is, right? You can see where the enemy is. And what I prefer not to have is free to front side this, right? All you gotta do is do this, because this is free. Right, if you can get here, you can force them off a little bit, right? You take a little bit of pressure, you just jump back. But we don't want to be stacking our sightlines like this, right? We just want to maximize our sightlines. Every little bit we can get, this is gonna be super big. Nobody's looking over here. Right, this is free. And just the tendency to do this, like where I see us wanting to stack with our tanks a lot, in a lot of different cases. We're missing out a lot. We're still winning most of these fights again because you're good players and we're able to force this through a lot, just going through the front. But I was talking to Bog about how we want to get better pre-fight setups, a little bit better, just a little bit smarter about our angles. Well, this is what's going to get you to the next level, in my opinion. All right, we're missing out these backside shots. Like these guys leave, you just climb up here, you go over here, hey, free shots again. Right? Work smarter, not harder. I think I told Bog I would look at Bonnie real quick, so I'll do one more fight here. In about 30 minutes here, and if you're still here by now, I really appreciate your attention. So Numbani, I always really hate this map because it's just so hard to break this concave. They're not really playing this the way that I would super like it. It's not bad actually. I mean, usually I'd have the monkey on this side, just so that you have somebody watching this side, but it's fine. So what we're gonna do with this comp, right, which is probably what I would have done honestly, just to rush most of our tanks here and come out this way. That's totally fine, but if you're gonna do that again, you're going to choose to take a fight concentrated at this door. So this is gonna end up being your kill box, more or less, right? You're not gonna bother finding the enemy until you get to this point. So how are you gonna get multiple sightlines on this kill box? Right? How do you get multiple people to? So you're gonna have obviously your tanks in here. You're gonna need more than just the tanks here, okay? Because what's gonna happen if you have all of your damage in one spot is one single DM is gonna nullify all of it. And being able to set up multiple angles, it makes so that the DM has to choose, right? The DM can't catch everything at once. The shield can't catch everything at once. Something will get through, and it just makes your pressure that much more valuable. So let's see what we do. So like leaving a D.Va here is not great, right? D.Va doesn't do anything from range. because the fall off is so bad. If you had a Sig, maybe. And this is really greedy to play as a Sig. Like if you get double dove here, you're kind of screwed. I would put the D.Va with these guys. Okay, because the D.Va doesn't do enough by herself. And I told Bog this last night, I would actually leave the Sombra here. Just stay cloaked, just chill here. Because this is what you're going to see as the Sombra. Like, imagine the D.Va was, you and the D.Va traded places. You're going to see this. Right? And this is free shots. Sombra's range damage is not bad. And if you want to walk out a little bit and maybe look for a hack as you're backing away, because they're going to be roughly close enough about now that maybe look for a hack to do this, right? And you got plenty of cover. If you take a lot of pressure, you just translocate out to this spot. We talked to Bog about this, but yeah, you don't want to do this because this is not enough distance, right? The D.Va's gonna find you and just be like, oh, maybe she's here. This is a little bit safer, right? And you can just come out, pop out here, and go back and point. But we need more angles than this because we're all gonna try to force literally 5 people into the same hallway, and our D.Va's gonna basically end up here because she's gonna boost through the entire team. Not a great play from the D.Va, but this is just gonna be a mess, right? We don't really have an advantage here. We're just trying to force our way through pure brute force to the door. If you're going to play a Tracer here, I don't really like Tracer on this map because she has a lot of issues getting in on the high ground. But if you're going to play the Tracer, she needs to be here. And about right now, when your team's about to push in, she just double blinks across this and tries to play for this, right? Backside this guy. If she gets poked out, she just drops, comes out over here, maybe gets a little midi, right? But then once she's out, she's kind of out. And this is why I don't like Tracer, because you have to commit really hard. You can actually, if you're a Tracer, you could probably just play this too. Right, you just try to do this for as long as you can without committing. So you do a single blink, and you're not really going to get a whole lot of damage because of the fall off. But at least if you make them look at you, and you just don't commit, and you play for your life, you play for your health, you just kind of chill here, it's going to buy your team the door because it's going to pull attention, damage, DM, whatever away from that door, and it's going to get your team through. All right, we talked about running a Reaper with Bog. Put a Reaper in here, totally fine. You pop out here, you TP your Reaper backline, you TP your Reaper here. Right, if you're gonna do that, honestly, you don't even need a picture like Reaper with your team. You can just set your Reaper up here again, TP her here, TP your Reaper here. You have a Sombra under. Another equally, I think, decent thing to do is to have a soldier, somebody more self-sufficient but long range. Just chill here. You have most of your team run that way. You pop your soldier out this way. Right, and if you want to run your Reaper here, this is fine. If you want to TP your Reaper back here, also fine. But you need to collapse on these angles somehow. Right, we can't, because like there's no angles right now, right? They're all just gonna look at this door. One DM is gonna clear everybody's damage except for the monkey, and it's gonna be super rough because again we're attacking. We're trying to get out through this door, right? We have to take more damage to get through this door than they have to take just sitting here standing still. So this would be a super good angle if you're playing Sombra. This would be a super good angle if you leave a Hanzo. If you leave a Hanzo's a little sketchier, right? He's easier to dive. Soldier's a little harder to dive, so this is fine. If you're gonna play the Tracer again, blinker here, just kind of chill and play for this. If you get somebody to 1 HP and you think you can come in and finish the kill, blink, finish the kill, recall, right? That's totally fine. But this front line in a mosh pit here, this is gonna feel really bad. And I'm sure you're playing this game going like, wow, I'm doing absolutely nothing because you're shooting a bubble from the front and it's just super hard to do anything from here. So the TLDR is sightlines, right? Just to review, identify your kill box. Identify your kill box, in this case, it's going to be here. Get multiple sightlines on it. This is one sightline, where's your other one, right? Maybe here, maybe Tracer here, maybe Soldier here. Get at least one other one. Talked about if you wanted to do something silly, or not even that silly, honestly, but you just have like an Ashe, you follow your Ashe here, you double her back, and you shoot her this way. Right, you're firing this way while your tank's pushed, also fine. Right, just get at least two sightlines on your box while you're trying to collapse the enemy sightlines. Right, in this case, again, the enemies are completely linearized, so they don't have any sightlines to worry about really because of how they're playing. If they had another guy here, right, you would have to account for this other sightline somehow. But let's just try to get a little bit more methodical with how we are setting up our fights, how to collapse enemy sightlines. Again, we talk about overloading, right? They have let's say a left-right bracket here, right? How do we overload this, right? Maybe push out everybody top, maybe push everybody this way, or we're going to overload one side so that we're going to be looking at the formation in a straight line like we're doing right now. But while we're doing that, we have to also have our own sightlines. We have to create more angles of our own. Okay? And my keyword for this is just overload, bracket and overload. We can talk about this more if you guys want to do more sessions later, or if you want me to look at more codes. But managing sightlines, I think, is going to be the biggest thing for you right now because we really like to stack our DPS on our tanks. And we really like to stack sightlines, and we're just missing out on a lot of value. And you guys are already doing really well despite this because, again, we're all good players and we have good mechanics. But if you want to get to that next level, you want to start playing 4400s consistently and winning all your maps. This is what's going to get you there, right? There's only so much brute force you can get at the highest levels before people are going to just be roughly as good as you are. Okay, cool. Thanks for listening, guys. See you around.